We need all the good luck we can get. But let's do this. Again, we are ready to go. Coaching staff fully set up. Morgan Riley is the new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have not named a new captain. It is Clapperton, Bedard, and Bouchard with the letters. And again, the forward lines are as followed. Wellwood, Bedard, Clapperton, Winquist, Alexiev, Coleman, Bannock, Richmond, Kachuk, Bourdon, Shantz, and Weeks. It comes out to apparently a 100 rated offense. It's still fantastic. Defensively, Ackerman and, of course, Bouchard, who was brought back. Ling with Moritz Seider, Roloff, and Kostopoulos. We made a lot of trades with Detroit, as summed up, of course, by Sebastian Casa now being the man in goal, with Casey Cheveldaev behind him. Oh, boy. Coleman does take a lot of penalties, but we still have to develop him a little bit more before we move him. He's only 20. Bedard, Kachuk, Bouchard. Oh, yeah. I'll trust that power play. Even put Shantz on the power play, which is fine by me. Toronto Red Wings, practically. Now, I don't even want to talk about the ifs, because it is such a Leafs thing to do. I don't even want to talk about the ifs. But if we lose this, and the window is there to blow it up, that means Bedard's gone, Bouchard's gone again. I mean, Casa would probably be moved, because when is it ever worth having a goalie that's that expensive? It would take a hell of a run. It would take a hell of a run for this team to earn a second chance if they were to fall short of a cup.
I'm just trying to walk. People
asked about Arizona, by the way. Shout out to Peloki on the follow, if I am not mistaken. Or it could be P.E. Loki. You know, if Loki was your gym teacher. So yeah, Austin Matthews is still there in Arizona. So is Mike German, who we traded to them once upon a time. Matthews signing for 10.2 for the year. And, yeah, future Hall of Famer, to say the least. He has been absolutely insane. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 seasons. Ready for his 12th in Arizona. Yeah, they are still likely to be very, very good. And then Detroit with Logan Cooley, Gavin McKenna, Hakala. I mean, look at Detroit's fucking top six, because we traded them Cooley and gave them back Hakala. That's outrageous. And defensively, Cam York. I wanted to keep you, Cam. I did, but we did what we had to do. We have still ended up with a phenomenal-looking team. Carpenter, yeah, but we traded him a long time ago. We're going to turn on and rotate back on, because we only have 2 goalies to worry about this year. So we should be able to make relatively quick progress in this process. Because we don't have to do the swapping of 3 different goalies. Sebastian Casa is just outright our guy. So this could blow up in our face. This could be the worst season we've had in years. We have won 3 straight President's Trophies. I highly doubt we make it 4, but you never know. You never know. You never know. So we'll see. 7-1-1 though to start the season. The Bruins are 8-2-0. The Bruins are 8-2-0. We had some dealings with them as well, if I'm not mistaken, or at least we were going to. Did we not? Oh, that's right. We were going to trade for McAvoy. Shout out to Gamer Boy on the follow. He was a Gamer Boy. I will never say see you later, boy. Thank you for the follow. I do appreciate you. Let's go through month number 2 of this season. Yeah, Boston Barneson. One of 6 goaltenders that we thought would be the guy for us that wasn't the guy. It's only regular season. He's not out for the year. It's fine, but it's the implication. Well, shout out to Cheveldaev. and Alex Nedeljkovic. We're going to get a real good look now at how good Cheveldaev is. I almost went with him as our starter this season. He's the 4th young goalie in the past 2 years to jump up to an 85 overall, and the other 3 got traded. So history is not quite on Casey Cheveldaev's side. But we'll see what happens. We'll continue on through November, as we in fact do not have a game on the 21st night. Barneson, Harenstam, Bartovich, Backstrom, Emerton, Matt Murray. I feel like you're forgetting one too. Not an amazing month for us, but still at 15, 6-1, not bad. Bedard, 38 points in 22 games. Let's take a look at the team, and we'll see from there. Cheveldaev with a 900. Nedeljkovic has made 2 appearances with 17 saves. Yet to be beat. Denny. We had Denny in there too. Good job. Defense. Ackerman. Only 8 points, but a plus 16 next to Bouchard, who is over a point per game still. 10 points and a plus 13 for Caden Ling alongside Mo Sider, who's not a big point producer. And Brian Roloff with Brandon Kostopoulos. They're all fine. I mean, Bouchard's going to be the only major point producer. Wellwood has 21 points in 22 games. Bedard, 19 and 19. And 23 points, point per game for Gordy Clapperton. Can't say he doesn't fit in there. Winquist has just 12 points. We got another one, chat, who just won't put up points. 10 points for Yuri Alexiev. And 8 for Coleman. So that second line's not working. 7 points for Bannock, 6 for Richmond. All right, so our middle 6 is anemic. We got to figure something out. Bourdon, 4 points and a plus 1. 9 points for Shantz. And 5 points for Weeks. See, at this point, I can't even worry about frickin' prospect development. Really. We're going to go Winquist, Shantz, Kachuk, Bannock, Alexiev, Coleman, Bourdon, Richmond, Weeks. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens before we get rid of some talent on the previous iteration of the second line, because my patience is incredibly thin for this team. Incredibly thin. Kim Ackerman, our top left defender, just fractured his ankle. He'll be out for a month. So congrats to Nathan Crooks. He's been the better of our options. Congrats to Mr. Crooks, who will get to fill in. And we will bump up. No, we won't. He will be playing with Bouchard. Fair enough. We can go best lines in the AHL because, honestly, who gives a fuck? I mean, Sorelli for a 48 overall guy. It doesn't even matter. Let's keep it going. Costa's back, which is good. Very, very good. So we'll take Nedeljkovic out. Welcome back, Sebi. Please don't get hurt again. So we have lost 3 straight games after winning 3 straight games to start the month. A nice loss to the Coyotes. I doubt we win 60 games this year. 4th liner Bernard Bourdon fractures his jaw. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. We'll be giving Pritchett, or not, we'll call up Sorelli. We'll give Anthony Sorelli his first taste of action with the Leafs. Instead of going with the youngster, bring in the veteran in the form of Anthony Sorelli. And honestly, if they're going to have Bobrovsky in there, who's not actually ours, just get Martindale in there. Was already gone up 3 points this year, so that's not that bad. So January 1st, 23-12-1. We are 1 point behind the Florida Panthers with a game at hand. We have obviously dealt with some injuries this year, which does not help. Want to start off with the goalies again. Cheveldaev at 894. Costa has a 918. So Cheveldaev might not make it past the trade deadline. Crooks, I mean, the penalties are a bit concerning, but 3 points plus 3. Bouchard, still Evan Bouchard. 20 points for Caden Ling, not bad. 10 for Sider as a more shutdown defender. No real concerns about our defense, except, well, we don't have a Cam York. Wellwood's not really cutting it on that top line. 26 and 36. Connor Bedard, looking great. Clapperton, over point per game. How's Winquist looking? 23 points. Bannock on 10. And Sorelli only has the 2 games. Bourdome was okay. Maybe we should have kept Hakel over Winquist, but we wouldn't have gotten the defense that we needed. We will swap these two. We know how good Bedard was. Chance on 17 points, as is Alexiev, for fuck's sake. Richmond on 10. We'll give Alexiev another chance, but my God. 24 points for Tkachuk. Coleman takes a shitload of penalties. My God. He looks good, man, but he takes so many penalties. And then Weeks is still okay. I don't think we're going to be able to keep Troy Coleman. I don't think we are. Whoops. Oh, that's not where I wanted to go. Where are we in terms of league standings? 7th. Not quite on record-setting pace. I need to see the amount of fights. Yeah, 6 fights for Coleman. So obviously you subtract 30 penalty minutes off of that, and it's not so bad. But I'm going to guess he has a high fighting tendency. And I don't like editing those. It's like, well, that's just what the player is. So unfortunately, Coleman could be a very good player who is, frankly, ruined by the amount of penalties that he takes. We'll charge on for now. We'll give some other players the opportunity to kind of change my opinion about them, but it's not looking too good for some of these guys. As Ackerman and Bourdome will be back in the lineup. Shout out to Crooks. Could Chuck help Coleman fighting? No. No, it's just whatever a player's fighting tendency. So that's why, if you recall, roster editing wise, and one of the big reasons why I haven't done much roster editing this year was because I was pissed, really, at the incredibly poor state of the game in terms of rosters. And, well, hey, again, I've made it clear that I would help them on a more official capacity if they want. We'll see if they take me up on that offer. They should. But fighting skill matters, or fighting tendency matters a lot in franchise. You know, you can get a generated player who has a very high fighting tendency, and he could be a phenomenal goal scorer, but he's going to take a shitload of penalties if it's set to sometimes or often. That's just how it works. So when EA fucks up someone's fighting tendency on their main roster, that can have a big time butterfly effect on how a sim plays out. So, but 31, 18, and 2 as of February 1st, and to show this, I wouldn't be shocked if it's on often. I'm gonna guess Troy Coleman has fighting set to sometimes. That really kind of ruins him. Yeah, it's set to often. So he can have as high of a disciplinary rating as he wants to. He's just gonna fight all the time. And his discipline's an 86. But he is the first guy on the ice to drop the gloves, and yeah, he does it often. Born in 2014. Yeah, let's not talk about that. So second place in the division. Goalie-wise, Casa. I mean, we knew it was coming. I can't be disappointed, but we knew. I knew trading for a goalie. I did it mainly to shut people up about, oh, you should have gotten Casa. It's just unlucky more than anything. But, yeah. Ackerman, very, very good season so far, alongside Bouchard, who is still a beast. And who knows, maybe Costa turns it around in the playoffs. Our defense is fine. It's solid. Again, no big point producers outside of Bouchard. Winquist. Not cutting it. This guy has not, despite that incredible shooting category, just hasn't done anything. Wellwood's on 38. Bannock on 12. Bourdome on 7 and a -2. Connor Bedard, 34 and 34. He's amazing. 28 points for Alexiev. 16 goals, 8 assists for Chance. I know we're doing okay here. There are quite a few players I'd like to move off of this team. Quite a few. We might have to take a look around the league really quickly. I don't really have faith in Winquist. I know he's a younger player. But 29 points, and you've played next to either Alexiev or Connor Bedard all season is brutal. Like, really, really bad. But more than likely, I don't know, maybe Coleman gets traded. I am torn between making some adjustments at the deadline versus just leave the team as is, try it, see if it works, and if it doesn't, then I know exactly who I'm getting rid of. But that deadline's going to pop up pretty quick. Stanislav Andronov, that's a no. That is a no. Terry Salcido. Terry Salcido. It's also a no. I know he's a medium elite, but he's old enough. He won't have the potential anymore. So let's see how the month goes. Bring us pretty much right to the deadline. 36, 22, and 2. Second place in our division. The Bruins have a decent little lead, but granted we have 2 games at hand. Bedard's not exactly destroying worlds. One more look. One more look at the team to see if there's a change we're going to make. A good part of me wants to trade Casa at the deadline. Very, very big part of me. Defensively from there, it's solid. We just don't have the big point producer outside of Evan Bouchard. Clapperton, tough to say he hasn't fit in well on the top line. Kachuk's looking okay. Coleman's a good point producer, man, but 74 penalty minutes. Jesus. And then Weeks on 20 points. We don't really have a young right wing to bring in. But I got a bad feeling about Troy Coleman. This guy looks like a young stud, but he did take penalties in the playoffs last year. I might give him the extra chance, but man, the penalties suck. Neither Wellwood nor Winquist are worthy of a top line spot right now. They're just not. Bannock hasn't been nearly as good on the third line. So, if we're looking at options, Costa stays for the season just to try it. We could look for a high-scoring defender. The right side's going to stay the same for this season. We need a top left wing. And we need a third line left wing, but we do have guys in the AHL that could be called up, especially someone like Hugo Rue, who was tearing it up. But yeah, no doubt, Bannock needs to go back down to the fourth line. He's just not cut out for the third line. And Alexiev can go. Alexiev can go. And Chance, honestly, could be the second line center. Richmond. Try some of these other guys in some bigger spots, but I agree, it just doesn't feel like the team. Now, the argument could be made. The argument could very, very well be made. Just stick with it, because it's not like... And number one, scoring looks to be a little bit down. But it's not like previous years. And maybe that'll benefit us in the playoffs. Maybe we should go into the playoffs. Looks like we dropped off Cam York at the right time, by the way. I love him, but... Goalie-wise, save percentages... Save percentages are up. Scoring is, at least at the high end, pretty down. Oh, I'm glad that... Oh, Rotzloff. We forgot him from earlier, too. I think we had Drew Little at one point. But Rotzloff, Denny, Harenstam, good to see they're all doing okay. That's great. It's great. And then Gustavs Alexandrov, good for him, finally made the NHL. We'll see what's out there at the deadline, because we're about to go through it. And... if there are moves that make sense, I'm going to make them. And if there aren't, then we'll just stick with it. And figure it out from there. That's all I can say at this point. And again, we'd have to rely on who was available. Kivaharu. Kivy might not be bad from Chicago to up that defense. He'd be the main guy to get there. Newhook P.O. Joseph just got traded. Columbus looking to move on from Line A. That could be an interesting one. Dallas looking to move on from Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen. Yeah, Cam York's not on the block, otherwise I would have considered it. Connor McDavid. Philip Broberg's out there too. Well, needless to say, we got some interesting options here. Kirill Kaprizov is also out there. Anybody else? Anybody? Coronado. Philly's already trying to move on from Salmonen. But we've done that before. I don't really feel like going back. Players that failed here once. Unless I do. Maybe I do. In one instance. Michael and Bork aren't bad, but... good to see Macklin still sucks. German, Keller, Matthews. If they are willing to retain, now might be the time. Because we do have space for all three in this lineup. If you can't beat them, bring them in. Oops, no, we don't want it on German. They can only retain twice. We'd want it on Matthews. The Toronto Red Maple Yopes. Not even the Yotes, the Yopes. They're not going to be able to retain 3 times, right? Well, no. Unless I get a warning that they can't do this, we'll see. So the way there'd be space is we trade Alexiev to make room for Matthews. We have a spot on the left wing anyway to drop Bannock down. And we'd use Coleman to make room for Keller on the right. I don't think this will go through on its own. I don't think it's that far away. What if we use a third? Alexiev, Coleman, and a third for German, Keller, and Matthews. Done deal. Austin Matthews, you are a Toronto Maple Leaf again. There are other players out there that I am intrigued by. In terms of forwards, there are defenders as well. Reek, what's up, buddy? There's Line A, but we got Keller. So that kind of eliminates him. But Edmonton has Philip Broberg, but his contract is brutal. But Edmonton has Connor McDavid. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested. Because we do have room on the third line. Because we could send Richmond down to the AHL and play Chance on the 4th. Throw someone like Radulov in there, who's not very good. Throw someone like Bourdon in there, who we're going to send down anyway. Throw someone like Wagner in there. And again, maybe this isn't the right move, but I identified clear-cut weaknesses on this team. Safety net this really quickly. Connor McDavid, welcome to Toronto. Kivvy's got a year left, no extension. Aaron, Kivvy, how are you? Can I land you as well? We still got a few hours left on this deadline. We got someone like Volk and Pitt that are both terrible. I honestly thought Edmonton was just about to trade McDavid out from under us, but I remembered, oh wait, we already got him. We do have a couple of dudes to add here and there. Start off with those three. Chicago would be under the cap. How much can you retain without being under the floor? How much, Chicago? What's your number to not be underneath the cap floor? The answer might be 0. Jesus. Okay. How am I going to navigate this? How am I going to navigate this? Is Brock Besser enough to do it? No. Because now I'd be over the cap. I'd still be over the cap. Still be over the cap. Still be over the cap. And now Chicago would be under. There's no magic number here. So, really quickly, before this dealing with Chicago, I need to find somebody from a different team who makes a fuck ton of money. SDA, for example. Essentially, it's a 3-team trade. I'll have you retain a little bit on SDA. Because apparently I am right up against it cap-wise. 3rd rounder to Colorado for SDA. Then we go back to Chicago. Bring in Kiviharju. We give you Mr. Semyon Arkachintsev. You retain on Aaron Kiviharju. As much as possible. Trust me, I want you to have as much of that cap hit as possible, please. How would you still be under? Brock Besser better be enough. I don't believe you that they'd still be under. I don't. I think you're full of shit. Colorado, I know you had a few more scrubs. Can I get Oliver Wahlstrom's 11? I mean, there's no way I'll be able to afford that. That's the problem. Who else? If 11 million's a bit too much. What about the 2 million of Kennons? 3rd rounder. Hello? I'd be over the cap on 2 million. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get Aaron Kiviharju. Unfortunately. Cap-wise, apparently, it's just too much to deal with. SDA, Besser. Unless I would also give up Weeks, who's on the 4th line, but I prefer not to do that. The only other option is to give them Clayton Keller and then try to reacquire Clayton Keller. We've done this in the past, and we're desperate enough to do it again. How do we feel about that trade outright? Rejected? Okay. Trade Keller, get Line. That is also an option. In terms of value, we are looking at Volk and Pitt. You say I was pretty far away? How the fuck do you figure? What about a 3rd rounder? What about a 2nd rounder? Okay, apparently I am underestimating this. What about our 1st round pick? What if I take out Besser? Because cap-wise should still be okay. What about a 1st and a 3rd? Aaron Kiviharju, welcome to Toronto. And the reason why I want to go back for Keller, if possible, and it is possible, is because he will be much, much cheaper on another 50% retained than Patrick Laine would be. Because it's obvious we're pretty up against the cap. So can we pull off 3-team trades, essentially, without there actually being 3-team trades? What do I have value-wise to offer Chicago to pull this off? Obviously, we have some options. I have my preferred options to give up. We can give up Klingberg. It's not very good. We can give up Papineau. Give up Pitt. What do we think about this so far, Chicago? Probably could have gotten more back, but that's okay. So with that, we have had another ridiculous trade deadline. Costa's still our guy in goal. We had Kiviharju on the defensive side of things. We added Mike German back. Clayton Keller is here. Austin Matthews returns, and Connor McDavid joins him. Did we fall into the same trap of adding too much at the deadline? Maybe we did. Maybe we did. Maybe we just made the same damn mistake. I don't know. But to have it be confirmed, Kosa, Cheveldaev, Sider, Bouchard, Ackerman, Kiviharju gets the call up. We can afford him. Right side is good. German, Winquist, Wellwood, Keller, Bannock. We can obviously send down Sorelli. Bedard, Matthews, McDavid, Richmond, and Chance. Richmond would benefit quite well from being sent down to the AHL and hopefully leading the Marlies to victory. So, needless to say, the team is just a little bit interesting at this point. Just a little bit interesting. Obviously, we have options. In terms of lines, in terms of who plays where. I mean, it could be German, Bedard, Clapperton, Wellwood, Matthews, Keller, Winquist, McDavid, Tkachuk, Bannock, Chance, and Weeks. We'll have options. And that's the most important thing. We will have options. I'm still good with Ackerman and Bouchard, Ling and Sider. And then Kiviharju can play third pairing for the rest of the season, so Ling benefits from being in his proper role. Yeah, unfortunately, it is Roloff who gets bumped out. Not that he deserves to be, but he is a good depth option. Then AHL-wise, I mean, Houston, Richmond, Rue, Pratt, Pedersen, Pritchett. The Marlies are certainly set up for a potential title defense in the AHL. But who knows? Once we get to the playoffs, who the hell knows?